Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm going to try to keep this one short for once. I'd like to get these all in under 10 minutes, and rather than pushing over 20 and up to 30 minutes long. This is going to be your D chord lesson. We've avoided it so far. When we learned our first chord, we had a G, to a G7, to a C, this one finger guy, and then we made the triangle for the D7, which I've pictured here. This is a triangle that points toward the headstock, so the point of the triangle is on the C note. Then we learned how to make a larger G, where we reached from one G to the next and added this finger on the 5th string. Or we could use those two fingers there, but pinky and ring finger on the top 3rd fret notes. From there we worked on the Green Day song. Used these fingers moving into a C, and the pointer on the 3rd string A note, hitting 4 strings, made it a sus4. Hitting 3 without hitting this top string meant we didn't have to decide whether it was a sus4 or not. I mentioned I like to use this in Good Riddance, that song by Green Day, but they don't. They actually use a D chord. So here are those chords: the G, the C, which is actually a C add 9 or a C add 2, the D sus4, and then here's your actual garden variety D chord. To get to it again, G has this 3rd fret note with the ring finger and one with the pinky. So does the C add 9, so does the D sus4. The only difference between D sus4 with the pinky and D is that the middle finger goes onto the 1st string 2nd fret and the pinky goes away. The pointer and ring finger are still where they were in the previous chord. G to C to D sus4, middle finger gets on the 1st string, pinky goes away, ring finger remains. So two nice exercises you can do with this D chord would be to convert it to the D sus4 merely by adding the pinky. So there's D, pinky makes it sus4, D, sus4, D. You'll recognize that guitar trick from all kinds of songs and all kinds of contexts. It doesn't matter where the chord belongs in a key signature. When they get to D's, so many guitarists will do the sus4 on it. The other way to get to it is from the G. Continue to hold that ring finger on the 2nd string. Move the middle finger to the 1st string and the pointer to the 3rd. G, D. These two fingers are on an angle right now. They switch around with each other and stack up in the 2nd frets. They are separated by a string. 2nd fret of the 1st string, 2nd fret of the 3rd. The ring finger completes the triangle. G to D, G to D. There's a practice for you. If you're coming from this G, where you don't have a finger on the 2nd string, your maneuver will be to move that finger to the 2nd string as these two come in. So G to D. When you work on a new chord that might be difficult, there's a good chance that you're going to plant one finger and then arrange all the other fingers around it. For instance, people will blow up their G and maybe put the pointer on the 3rd string, ring finger in 2nd. And they'll always do that. They'll build that chord in that certain order. Whatever order you're doing it in, I'll be a contrarian and I'll say, well, let's do it in a different order. So from G, I might say, let's move your middle finger to the 1st string and then switch the other two. Middle finger to the 1st string, then switch. If you're already good at that, I might move the pointer to the 3rd string and then the other two. Pointer to the 3rd and switch the other two fingers. Pointer, switch. Or you can move the ring finger first. Ring moves, then create the base of the triangle with these two fingers. What I'm doing by moving each finger separately once is teaching every finger where I want it to go. You don't want them to come out and then you start piecing it back together. You want to know that this finger shoots up to the first string. So you can practice that. Shoot it up there. The pointer jumps to the third string. So practice shooting it there. The ring finger has a tiny little move to make if you're using this G. If you practice each one of those, then you can build the rest of the chord. So middle finger, build. Pointer, build. Ring finger, build. In the end, what you want to do is move them all at once. Another exercise you can do with your chords when you're trying to learn their shapes is practice lifting them. At first, I'll ease off the pressure so that the chord mutes. Chord, mute, chord, mute. Once it's used to lifting a little bit in pressure, I'll actually have it clear the strings a little. So they're open, and then put it back on. Trying to get it just to clear the strings and come back in shape. Don't worry, it won't at first. When you let go, they'll fly away and you'll have to put them back. You can lift every finger separately. You can lift two fingers, the pointer and the middle, for instance. You can leave the middle and lift the ring finger and pointer. Or leave the pointer and lift the other two. All of these exercises would train your fingers to move in unison. Overall, of course, we want to get them to jump into the chords in one motion. If I've done all those exercises on Ds, which is just an example of how you should do all your chords, any chord that's holding you up you should work on separately. Mostly I'd like to transfer from one chord to another. For instance, Cs would come from A minors. That's the best way for me to learn a C, but then there's other times where I should learn them from D7s. Or finally from Gs, which are much harder. So this is just an example of how all your chords should be worked. The other thing we spoke about when we looked at A chords and E chords is that we'd like to grab this whole package of D chords and learn to distinguish each one. People will go forever, for some reason, confusing Ds, D7s, and D minors. And one of the things you want to do then is grab all four of them, practice through them, and name them. The D chord is a triangle pointing toward the body of the guitar, and it holds this D note. In D7, you're going to give up that D note to play a C note. You don't have to know the theory behind this yet, but the reason it's a D7 is if you're in a D chord and you counted D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C is the seventh note. So if you take a D chord and you put a C in it, it's D7. D points toward the body, D7 toward the head. In your guitar picture, they look very similar. Obviously, they require completely different configuration of fingers. They both have a base of the triangle on the second fret. The D has the ring finger completing the triangle. The D7 has the pointer. The D sus4 is a D chord with a pinky on this G note. Do you care about why that is? D, E, F, G. We've added a G, the fourth, to the chord, so it's a D suspended fourth. Its short name is D sus4, and even shorter is D sus. So it's D, D sus4. And finally the D minor. It has the D and the A, just like a D chord did. But this F sharp in the D chord, the second fret on the first string, is an F natural in the D minor. Catch the sound of this? Do you recognize again the minor sound? A dark, moody, or sad sound. So when you learn these, when you practice them one to the next, name them. Say that this is D minor. Listen for the type of sound it has. Identify what's different about it. It has an F in it. So the sad D minor has an F. The happier D major still has this D note, but has the F sharp, a brighter, happier note. The D sus4 adds the G note with the pinky. That's the fourth from a D. So D sus4, D major or D, turn it around to get that pointer on the first string, the sad F, put the pointer on the second string, you're adding the C note to make it a D7. Don't just practice the shapes, tell yourself over and over what chord you're playing. Even in your songs, tell yourself. In the Green Day song, we had C add 9, D sus4. Now you can change it to a D without the pinky. G, C add 9, D without the pinky. The ring finger still holds as you come back to G. The D chord also has the open fourth string. Eddie A Dynamite. It's the open D note. So D chords are based on this open D string. They have an A note on the third string. Notice every one of them has that. An open note and a note 2 frets up on the next string. What kind of chord is that? You're right, it's a D5, a power chord. So we had E5, open E with the next string, second fret. A5 or A power chord, an open A string with the next note, or next string, second fret. And a D5. So you've got power chords on E, A, and D. A, E. So the power chord is the basis of all the Ds. As I said before, that power chord will be located in each of your chords at some place. Sometimes we just have to dig around to find it. So of course I went longer than I needed to, repeating a little bit too much, but I'll leave you guys with that. That's your D chord. Compare it to all your other chords that you know, add it into the group, but also put it in a package of Ds and sit there going through all your Ds and naming them. D, D minor, D7, and D sus4, etc. Have a good one. We'll talk later. Bye.